Hello and welcome to this book review. Yes, it is late, but I thought those theatre reviews were more interesting and those shows will be going sooner than me talking about a load of books. Yes, for the eagle-eyed viewers that have watched a few of these, you'll notice I'm not in the usual spot to do the book review. Obviously with everything that's going on, me and Pete are both home and my books are in his office and obviously he needs to use his office. So that's why I'm here, but we don't actually need any visual aids this month because everything I read on my Kindle, because it was always the intention. I thought with us supposedly going away and on the plane and stuff, it would be a lot easier to read my Kindle, and I have thousands of books on there that I should really read and get through. So that's that. So we don't need the bookshelf and books and things for this month's book review. Excuse the jumper. It's an old Endpoint, which is Pete's esports company one. It was on the sofa and I had cold arms, so I just put it on. So as I said, we read all the books on the Kindle, 3 books this month. So I'll get on with the first one. So the first book I read was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. There you go. I didn't think much to it, it has to be said. It took me quite a long time to read it. It is a big chunky book if you've ever seen it on shelves or anything. I thought the description and the way she explained the circus and the colours and the smells and things, I thought that was very well done. But nothing happened, and there was nothing to drive this book along at all. It didn't keep me engaged. As you know, if you've watched a few of these, I read on the bus, although not at the moment because I'm not going to work, but I read on the bus, and I found myself having a lot of extended blinks where I was holding it and then just going, ooh, no, I'm reading that. Then reading the same sentence and going again. So it didn't hold my attention at all. And it wasn't, well, I got into it a little bit more about halfway through, but still nothing really happened. And I wasn't that keen, to be honest. The whole idea of the book is that there's this challenge between 2 magical people. But it's more of an endurance thing. It's not like a duel or anything like that. It's more of an endurance test on who can survive that the longest. And because of that, that is why nothing really happened. It wasn't like they had quick battles and then long periods of planning. It was just literally, right, if I do this and then you do that and then... But the things they were doing weren't really affecting each other or anything like that. It was just who could do this for the longest and make sure everybody's safe. Which is kind of annoying. It was set in a circus. How can you have a boring book set in a circus? That's made for interest and excitingness and things. There was a character called Bailey in it who I liked, and I did enjoy those parts of the story. It started when he was young and when he first went to the circus, and just how he really loved the circus, and then how he eventually became important and got involved in it. And he interacted a lot with twins that were born on the day that the circus opened, and I really liked that interaction and that character and that storyline. But I had no idea for pretty much 90% of the book, maybe that's 75% of the book, how that story and the one of Celia and Marcus, who were the 2 endurance competitors, how they related at all. And it's not until the very, very end that you figure this out. So through majority of the book, it's this story and this story, they don't come together, there's nothing happening. And I just think they could have made more of the love story between Celia and Marco. His name is Marco. Celia and Marco, than they did. So that was The Night Circus by Erin Morgenstern. Not my favourite. didn't start the month. Probably the worst book that I've read so far this year, to be honest. But then I have read some corkers. So the second book I read was To All the Boys I Loved Before by Jenny Han. I read this next because I knew I'd enjoy it. Basically, after the Night Circus, I just wanted an easy, young adult love story thing that I knew I was gonna like. I have seen the Netflix film of it, but quite a while ago, so I know roughly the story, but couldn't quite remember all the details, basically. The chapters in this book are incredibly short. I do like a book with short chapters. I don't know why. I guess it's a sense that you're accomplishing more in one sitting. I don't know. But I do like a book with short chapters, and this had those. But obviously, because I've seen the film first, I was comparing the book to the film, and Lara Jean in the film seems way too cool compared to what she is in the book. In the book, she is very much a quirky loner, and that isn't how she's portrayed in the film, so that was a bit surprising to me. Because of the film, I thought there would be more to her than there maybe was in the book. Excuse the dog. But then that's because I did it the wrong way around and I watched the film first. So it's my own fault. So this is the first book by Jenny Han that I've read. I know there's a couple of series that she's written, and they're the kind of book that I like to read anyway. But I really, really enjoyed the way that she wrote the sibling relationship between Lara Jean and her two sisters. It was just something very honest about it and very believable, and yeah, and that was... Thanks, Jeff. That was the part of the book that I enjoyed most, actually, was that sibling relationship and how she wrote it, and how, with one of them moving to Scotland and stuff, how that impacted, and how they've all got their little bits that their own things going on that they're not sharing and things like that. It was just very interesting, and I liked that a lot. And lastly, it ended on a cliffhanger, which the film certainly didn't. So when it ended, I was like, oh, they've obviously borrowed this little extra bit for the film from the second book, because you know what happens, rather than in the book where you don't. So again, I'm kind of regretting watching the film first, because that whole cliffhanger thing would have been cool, because then I would have been like, oh, I've got to read the next one because I've got to find out whether they stay together. But I've seen the film, so I know. But as I said, I knew I would enjoy that book well enough, and I did. I don't think I was particularly into reading as much in March, to be honest. I think with everything that was going on, I was a bit more distracted. And obviously, while I was reading the end of the Night Circus and To All the Boys That I Loved Before, I was pretty miffed that my holiday had been cancelled and things like that, and now that everything's been shut down and etc, etc. So I wasn't really into... I couldn't get involved as much in books, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. But that's a side note. The last book I read in March was The Princess Bride by William Goldman, which again is a book, or again, I've seen the film first, which I really, really try not to do. But for this, I saw the film first. I love the film. It's probably one of my favourites. It's definitely in my top 10. And I've never read the book, so I thought I'll give it a go. It was on my Kindle, so I thought, yeah, why not? As a side note, I'm probably going to continue reading on my Kindle at least for April, because as you know, I try and do 10,000 steps a day, and with only being allowed out once for exercise and things, getting those in is kind of difficult. So I tend to walk on the spot or around my flat whilst reading, and it's so much easier to do that with one hand and a Kindle than trying to hold a book and walking at the same time. But side note, Princess Bride, that's what we're talking about. Weirdly, the Kindle started not at the beginning of the book, so it wanted me to bypass that whole intro where he's explaining why he loves the book as a boy and all of that stuff, which you need. so I don't know why the Kindle version that I have tried to skip it, is that intro that makes you realise his enthusiasm and love for the book. So, and then as it goes on, he has little asides in the book, in the abridged version that he's written, that make way more sense if you've read the beginning bit. I mean, I went back anyway because I was like, this doesn't, why are you starting me at like 10%? I'm supposed to start at 1. So I went back and read it anyway, but if I didn't, there would have been things that really didn't make sense to me because of that. I also enjoyed but felt kind of bad about enjoying the fact that he basically fat-shamed his own son, and said how spoiled he was, and doesn't actually seem to like his wife or son. But that isn't actually anything to do with The Princess Bride. It's just one of those things. But it did make me laugh, even if it perhaps shouldn't have. Pretty much right at the beginning of his abridged version of Princess Bride, he's explaining all about how there have been X amount of pretty girls within history, the people that are the most beautiful, and then how they lost it, basically. And one of them was because she ate loads of chocolate. I was like, yeah, that's probably every girl's vice. But so that was fun. That was funny. The book has very much the same feel that the film does, which was good because, as I said, I really like the film. However, the book does have these really frustrating bits where they're explaining stuff and they say, but that was before this was invented, or that was before this, or that was after this, and in brackets, and they really got on my nerves. But then William Goldman basically said, yeah, these are annoying, these are the original author's things, if you don't like them, just ignore them, don't read them, kind of thing. So at least he mentioned it, but they still annoyed me. And for some people it might be kind of frustrating, but I did enjoy William Goldman's little interruptions into the book. If you're thinking of the film, it's basically when the grandpa says, I think it's the granddad, it's been a long time since I've watched it, says stuff to the boy who's sick in bed. But yeah, no, I like his little interruptions in them. I think they're good. They're often kind of amusing too. Another thing I particularly enjoyed was the lengthier backstories to Inigo Montoya and to Fezzik. Obviously you get a little bit of, what's his face, the swordfighter, I can't say his name. I have to say the phrase, my name is Inigo Montoya, you killed my father, prepared to die. You hear a bit about his story because obviously he says that line a lot. And but it's fleshed out more in the book. It makes more sense why he wants to get the six-fingered man, and etc, etc. I don't remember there being so much of Fezzik's backstory in the film, and I really enjoyed learning about it because Fezzik's one of my favourite characters in it, and I love Andre the Giant in the film. So, and as I said, it does have a lot of the same feel as the film, and the casting is very good on the whole. Like when I'm reading it, which is dreadful, I know, I did picture the people in it. So when I'm reading Fezzik, I did think of Andre the Giant. But the one that didn't work in my brain when I was reading the book compared to who they cast was Vicini. I don't think they cast that very well in the film. Vicini in the book is very shrewd and not... I don't know, they just didn't... I didn't like the cast. I don't like the casting now that I've read the book. It's hard to explain. If anybody agrees with me, can you explain it in the comments for me? However, I wasn't overly keen on the ending of the book. As I said, it's quite a long time since I've seen the film, and I can't remember how it ends. I assume happily ever after. But the book has a very odd ending, which I won't say in case you choose to read it. But it doesn't end very well to me. I prefer the happily ever after ending. In my notes, it's see picture for apt sentence. Now I can't remember what I mean by that. So why have I said that? Oh, okay, so it's because it relates to our current situation. So I'll read you this little extract. Why do you wear a mask and a hood? Fezzik asked. I think everybody will in the near future, was the man in black's reply, which as I'm reading that and then going to queue at Sainsbury's and everybody has face masks on, where have they managed to get these? I don't know. I haven't looked myself, but how have they all got face masks? It made me smile because I was like, oh, so true to today's society. He's right, everyone will be wearing a face mask. I know he means an eye mask, but I was reading it like one of those because of what's currently going on. As I said earlier in this video, I wasn't really engaged in reading too much this month. I am more into it now, so April should be slightly more enjoyable for you because I haven't had a lot to say about these books, to be honest, although I still have managed to give you like an almost 20-minute video of me rambling. We'll get back to it. Life will go back to normal at some point, so on that note, if you've liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!